to Cooking in Motion. This week we are back in Toronto, Ontario, and today I have with me Siva Swaminathan, who is an actual chef. Hi Siva.
Hi there.
So you've been to culinary school and you've worked as a chef all around the world, and now you teach at your own cooking school, right?
Yes, I do.
And today's recipe is one of your own. So today we're making watermelon rind curry, and you made this recipe yourself.
Yes.
So cool. Okay, so for today's recipe you'll need a cutting board, a knife, a spoon, a peeler, a frying pan, and you'll also need a camp stove or a campfire. Today we're showcasing this Coleman camp stove. This is the type of stove you might be more familiar with if you do a lot of car camping. This is the stove I like to bring anytime I'm camping in a campground.
Sarah, I like to get started, but it's so hot here, so I'm going to take my jacket off. Here we are, let's get started. For this recipe, you'll need 2 cups of cubed watermelon rinds. I'll show you how to do that. You will need half an onion chopped. You'll need 1 cup of red beans, washed and drained and ready to go. You have 1 teaspoon of finely chopped garlic, 1 teaspoon of chopped ginger. You will need 2 cups of plum tomato cubed. You will need 2 tablespoons of curry powder or curry paste. You will need 2 tablespoons of canola oil or sunflower oil, 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. Salt reduction would be great. We can use some fresh ground pepper or any kind of ground pepper will do. Half a cup of water. We'll have fresh coriander for garnish and salt to adjust taste. And here we have coconut milk, again, to give that rich taste of curry. That's an optional ingredient you can add at the end. What we have in the curry powder is combination of, for example, there is the cumin and the fennel seeds, and they are roasted and grounded. And this is where it gets a bit more interesting and complicated. We have a piece of cinnamon, we have bay leaves, we have, these are what you call cardamom pods. These are incredibly aromatic. What you have to do is literally put them in a mortar and pestle, and then you have to really pound it into a powder. And then we have some cloves. So you have all of these ingredients coming together to give you the curry powder. And I'm also going to show you, Sarah, the question is always like, how do you get the watermelon rind? Well, these don't come in a supermarket.
No, you can't get those.
When you go camping, it's so easy to do because on a hot summer day, everybody takes watermelon, right? So once your watermelon slices are enjoyed, what you're left with is the rind that you throw away. This little piece, you just save it until the day you're going to actually do the curry. Don't take the skin off until you do the cooking, because if you take the skin off, this will get really soft quickly. And then what you do is you need a really good peeler, and then you just kind of peel. It still has some sweetness in it. You could kind of nicely thin it out. There you go. There's your watermelon cubes.
Wow.
That's it. So it's really easy. Okay, we have our pan hot and ready to go. So what we're going to do first is I'm just going to add a couple of tablespoons of canola oil. And what you can also do is I just tore off just a tiny bit of the paper towel. Just kind of move it around. So now we have coated the pan with our oil, because we're going to be sauteing next. So what we have here is our half onion that's been chopped.
Perfect. Awesome.
So we're just going to get it softened just a tiny bit. Then what we're going to do is we're going to add our garlic and ginger. One of the key ingredients is always garlic and ginger. It's like it's a really good marriage. And so my mom, when I was a little kid, what she would do is grind these together, put them in ice cube trays, and put them in the freezer, and our whole freezer would smell like ginger and garlic. Or you don't get the wrong cube in your water. But the idea is it's ready to go. You just take it out of the freezer, pop it in there. It's ready to go. Yeah. For this curry, what's going to really get the flavor is the ginger. You're not going to, the garlic is just going to really cook soft, and it's going to be great with the onion. But what's going to really give the flavor is the ginger. We're going to put our curry powder, okay? The whole idea is the curry powder has to be roasted in a hot pan. Okay, so this is called dry cooking. So what we're going to do is we're going to coat the onion completely with the curry powder or curry paste. So just really get him going. Yeah, he's sort of going around the world. So he's going to visit every corner of the frying pan, because what we're going to do is we're going to make use of all the oil in the pan, and they're going to get nicely coated. I'm going to just add my half a teaspoon of ground pepper. See, now you can hear the spices popping.
Yes.
Now that means it's ready to go. So now what we're going to do, we're going to add our cubes. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The melon is getting coated with the spices, right? That's our whole intention. So now we're going to add our cubed tomatoes. Yeah.
Wow, getting colorful.
So now what's happening is the curry is now cooked and it's extended. That means the curry, all the sort of spiciness is coming out, and it's coating the tomatoes, and the tomato, what's happening is breaking down, right? Because what we are creating is a little bit of steam. You can see like a lot of steam here. So what's happening is it's cooking the melon, but it's also the juice from the tomato is sort of extending the curry. And we're just going to let him cook, because the hardest part about this one is actually the texture of the melon, because this was the hardest part of the melon, right?
Okay.
He's not even soft like cucumber. Cucumber would just go mushy.
Yeah.
Zucchini would go very mushy because the water content is higher. But it's surprising enough, for a watermelon, the rind is the hardest part. You can eat it like a snack, but yet when you cook it, he's almost like almost like a thicker squash.
Yeah.
So you just need him to cook.
Okay, and then it'll get soft.
It'll get soft. But our stage number 2 is, what I'm going to do is we're going to be adding the beans.
Okay.
Because the beans has already been cooked, it's a canned one, we don't need to cook this further, because we don't need to make it mushy.
Right.
So the idea is, but we do need to make our sort of like the gravy. So the gravy part is we're going to be incorporating our tomato paste.
Okay.
Okay, so we're just going to cook it for a couple more minutes. We have our melon that's been cooking. So what we can do is add our tomato paste. So go ahead if you want me to. Take a spoon.
Perfect.
You can mix it up. Yep. And I'm going to add our beans.
Perfect.
I'm going to add just a touch of water, because we had our recipe about a half a cup of water. So this is where the water is going to now really further cook the melon. You could even kind of pinch it. Yeah, it's still kind of hard.
Oh yeah.
So you can see.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering, is there any way we can turn the stove just a tiny bit down? Yeah. Now let's cover this and let it cook for like about another 5 to 7 minutes.
Okay, so we're gonna let this cook for a few minutes here, and I'm just gonna ask you some questions, Siva.
Sure.
So, how long have you had type 1 diabetes? When were you diagnosed?
Oh my goodness. Would you believe I was diagnosed November 14th, World Diabetes Day?
What?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
So it's 2005.
Wow.
So this year, November 14th, I'll be rocking it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Amazing. And you are an experienced chef, and you've worked all over the world. Did you want to talk a little bit about your career? How did you get started in cooking?
Oh, it's a good question. I love eating. But would you believe I used to be actually an IT geek? I was assistant. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I have a computer science degree, so I was in the IT area. And I just got bored. I was doing, the weekends I was working hard and, doing new systems. And I just kind of said, okay, this isn't for me. And so I quit my job and I went to Culinary Institute at George Brown, and I did a 2-year diploma. To fast track my career, that's why I lived in Europe and worked around, because because I didn't take the traditional route, so I
Yeah.
needed to get some experience from, you know, especially European culinary experience goes a long way.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so exciting. And in 2013, you hiked 1,000 kilometers of the Camino Santiago Trail.
Yeah.
And you've said that you don't describe yourself as an athlete. So
Yeah.
tell me, how did you decide to do that?
Oh, well, good question. Because you know what, being a cook, everybody knew me as, okay, Siva, type 1, she does cooking. You know, I'm not a runner, I can't do marathons, so I said, what can I do? So I started to take up walking, and then I heard about Camino Santiago path, a friend of mine did, and it's about 1,000 kilometers from France to the coast. And it was kind of like a very interesting kind of a challenge. I love challenges.
Yes.
But that meant you had to walk a lot and, you know, long distance. And so I talked to Sebastian Zespel. He was awesome. He gave me some tips. And basically his idea was, hey, get your numbers figured out. Figure out your basal rate. When you know your basal rate, you'll be on autopilot. And I trained for about 4 months.
Wow.
Started with 5 clicks and then went to about 35 clicks a day.
Wow.
And so, yeah, so 50% basal. Again, it wasn't, you know, quick math.
Yeah,
I
no.
needed to figure out whether it's 70 or 30 or 40, whatever. So a lot of trial and error. My numbers were all over the place walking, and I would go low. So trying to figure out, you know, my temp basal was the toughest.
Yeah.
The first day climbing the Pyrenees vertical, I must have tested myself about 20 times. It was just ridiculous.
Wow.
Highly recommend, whether you're an athlete or not, or you just want to explore the world,
Yeah.
that path is pretty awesome.
It's definitely on my bucket list.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I think you are definitely an athlete.
Oh.
Definitely an athlete for doing that.
Yay.
Amazing.
The curry's almost ready. So just taking a fork, you could see how tender that is compared to how it was like about 10 minutes ago. So now what we're going to do is add our bonus ingredient, a bit of coconut milk. Yum. That really, really rounds it up. I'm going to chop some fresh coriander.
Okay.
Fold it in. You can also put chopped mint. It's really nice. It gives a very different kind of a texture, but it smells incredible. And you can adjust your thickness by adding how much ever coconut you want. You want it a little bit more runny. You can add more coconut milk. If you want it thicker, you can keep it this way. You can also like enjoy it like a stew. I'm just going to adjust our taste. Just about 1/4 teaspoon of salt. You know, so I have my spoon here.
Perfect. Yeah.
So the idea is just, I'm not going to taste the vegetables, but I just want to taste the curry to just see how it tastes.
What's the verdict?
It's got a lot of heat.
Oh gosh.
So just a tiny bit more salt, but it is really good. See how all the liquid has been kind of absorbed? And again, if you want it a little bit more runnier consistency, you can add some water or some coconut milk. This consistency is great. So you just plate it on top. So easy. And then we have some chopped coriander and a couple of nice little chili. And if you want some heat, it's ready to go.
Okay, so it's time to do the taste test, my favorite part.
Yeah.
I am so excited to try this. This recipe of Siva's is vegan, and it can be gluten-free if you use rice as your base. So let's get in there.
All right, so here we are, whole wheat couscous with watermelon rind curry.
Yes.
So,
Siva's recipe.
okay.
Ready?
Yes.
Cheers. Wow. Wow. It's so good and so hot. When you're eating delicious spicy foods, make sure you have some milk handy. You know, just in case. Whew. We're going out with a bang. This is the season finale of Cooking in Motion. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on trip. Is that good or is that lame?
That's good.
Why? What are you laughing at? Should I do it again?
No, we're good.
What? What did I do?